All right, everybody, welcome back to yet again another 2022-2023 season preview. We move on yet again with the Buffalo Sabres in today's preview. And obviously, the Sabres are a team who hasn't made the playoffs in a very long time. Let's just say that. But hopefully, the darkest days are behind them, and some sparks of positivity were definitely shown last season. Last year, they went 32, 39, and 11 for 75 points. They scored 232 goals and only let in 290, and they missed the playoffs. The leading scorer was Tage Thompson, who had a surprising breakout season with 38 goals, 30 assists for 68 points, and then Craig Anderson was your goalie who played the most games with a 17, 12, and 2 record with a 3.12 goals against average. Obviously, Buffalo made the big trade in I think actually around a year ago now. I think it was November of last year where they traded Jack Eichel over to Vegas in exchange for Tuck and Krebs and then a first round pick as well, and I think maybe something else too. But that was your trade. That was a huge trade. Obviously, the Eichel trade kind of changed both teams, to be honest. And Buffalo, as of right now, was really more on the positive end of that deal, which is very good for him. And with some of the young guys they got coming up, they definitely have a bright future ahead. You take a look at your departures. You had Cody Eakin, Drake Caggiula, Colin Miller, if I'm correct. Yep, Colin Miller. John Hayden, Aaron Dell, and Mark Yankowski. Many would argue that these departures are actually positive to the team. I mean, people were saying that when I did my offseason recap for them. They were like, yeah, those departures are positive. Like, those guys were terrible. And I think that is kind of accurate. Moving those guys out makes more room for the younger players to come in and start getting some NHL time. They did have some acquisitions, though. They acquired Ilya Lyubushkin, Eric Comrie, Cale Clog, and Chase Prisky. So some additional players there to that roster. Obviously, Lyubushkin, very solid defender, who I've liked for a long time. Comrie's likely, honestly, probably going to be the starter for this team. I mean, to be honest with you. And then Clog, and Prisky are more or less just deft defensemen there. So they kind of upgraded the defense. They really didn't touch the offense, mainly because there's so many young forwards coming into this team this coming year. They really didn't want to touch the offense at all and let those young guys start filtering into the lineup. And I think that's how you get out of this hole that the Sabres are in. 100%. That's what you need to count on. At this point, you kind of just, I mean, they have all the young players. They're not going to be as good next year. They're going to get another solid young player in next year's draft. They're going to keep developing more and more and more. This team's going to get better and better and better. And eventually, they'll make the playoffs. But I think they're not going to make the playoffs this year, but they're definitely trending in the right direction. You look at their projected lineup. You have Jeff Skinner, Tage Thompson, and Victor Olofsson. Then you have Peyton Krebs, Dylan Cousins, and Alex Tuck. It's actually a pretty solid top six. I don't mind that top six at all, really. Jeff Skinner had a really good season last year, comparatively speaking to some of the other seasons he's had with Buffalo. Definitely a much better year. Thompson there obviously had a breakout season. Hopefully he's going to transmit that into this coming season. Obviously, he got a contract extension with everything going on with that. And then guys like Olofsson, Krebs, Cousins, and Tuck. Olofsson, Krebs, and Cousins are some of the younger players that are still in this lineup. They're going to keep developing more and more and more. And Tuck, that experienced forward who actually, honestly, could become captain, depending on if they name a captain this year or next year. It could honestly be Alex Tuck. Although I've heard Kyle Okposo was also in the mix, too. So right now, we're not entirely too sure who the captain of Buffalo is going to be, but it's most likely going to be Okposo, but who knows. Your bottom six, you have Rasmus Asplund, Casey Middlestad, and Kyle Okposo. Then you have Jack Quinn, Zegmas Girgensson, and Vinny Hinostroza. Then they have Anders Bjork, Sean Malone, and John Jason Paterka. So obviously you got a guy like Quinn there, who was second in scoring for the Rochester Americans. You have J.J. Paterka, who was first in scoring for the Rochester Americans. So those are two young players heading into this lineup that are going to look pretty good. Quinn played some time last year and definitely looked really good with Buffalo. So I definitely think he'll transmit that. I don't think he'll play fourth line, definitely not. But I think maybe he'll rise up to the ranks and maybe even get top six minutes there with the Sabres. Casey Middlestad, I mean, that's the guy that everyone talks about. He really never got off the ground with Buffalo. He's one of my bounce back and breakout candidates. I still believe in him, but we'll see if he can transmit success to Buffalo. And really, I mean, might be his last year to prove himself, and people are already saying, well, he's a bust, but maybe he has a breakout year this season and proves all of us wrong. And I hope he does, because I really like Thompson, or not Thompson. Well, I have liked Thompson, but I've liked Middlestad definitely for a very long time. You look at their defense. The defense is actually not too bad. Your first pairing is Owen Power and Rasmus Dahlin. Yes, Owen Power is taking the jump to the NHL this season. We'll see how he does with the Sabres. Jacob Bryson and Ilya Labushkin as your second pairing, and then Lawrence Palut and Yoki Haru as your third pairing. Then you have Samuelson as an extra defender, but of course guys like Clog, Prisky, Casey Fitzgerald will also come into the lineup. So we got some guys definitely come in there and play some time with Buffalo. But obviously there are some solid acquisitions. Definitely Labushkin strengthens that defense a little bit more. Still not playoff caliber defense, but still very solid. They'll definitely get better and better on that end of the depth chart, definitely. And they got some defensive prospects coming up as well. Ryan Johnson looks interesting, that first round pick in 2019. We'll see how he does. But yeah, that defense overall, we'll see how it does. Power and Dahlin will definitely be your first dynamic pairing, 100%. And then your goaltending team is Eric Comrie and Craig Anderson, and then your goaltender is Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen as a third-string goalie. They got some other guys down there as well, like Malcolm Subban still in there. They kind of have options when you look at their goaltending, but we'll see what happens there. But obviously, Comrie and Anderson probably your starting tandem. Anderson's like 52 at this. He's not 52, but he's definitely up there in age at this point. And he's definitely, this could be his last season, definitely, maybe. But last year, he actually looked pretty good. Much better than some of his stats may say. But anyways, obviously that's your goaltending tandem. And overall, I mean, this team isn't terrible. But, I mean, they're definitely on the rise 100%, but they're not playoff worthy just yet. You look at your biggest questions. Are the darkest days behind them? Now, I say darkest because maybe there's still some bad years ahead. I'm not saying that this team's going to make the playoffs this year or even next year, to be honest with you. Maybe the darkest days are behind them, and maybe this is where they start going up and up and up, and things start getting positive in Buffalo. And that's definitely what you want. I have faith in this management and the coaching staff and everything there pretty much. I think this is the best staff they've had since the early 90s, to be honest with you. But I think that this team definitely has some potential. I think the darkest days are behind them, but maybe there's some there's still some dark days ahead before they can get start going into playoffs. But there's definitely some positivity around this team, 100%. They're one of those teams that's kind of a team that's going to prove people wrong, and I hope they do. I really hope Buffalo makes the playoffs and Vegas misses the playoffs. That would be so ironic for Jack Eichel. Your other question is, will the young players develop? As I said, you got so many young players on this core, players who have played still, but are still decently young, like guys like Olofsson, Thompson, Cousins, Krebs, and then you got guys coming into the lineup for the first time like Quinn, Peterka, and Power. So you do have a lot of young players on this roster who are definitely going to make a name for themselves. Then you got guys like Savoie, and then you got guys like Ostlund who are going to come into the lineup too in the future and start playing. But they definitely have one of the deeper prospect pools in the league, and they definitely have some potential coming. I do think the guys will develop well. One of the guys that I'm looking forward to the most got to be Quinn and Peterka and Power. Those three are going to be dynamic. I really am looking forward to those guys. They put up great numbers in the minors. Power obviously played a little bit with Buffalo this year, but also out of Michigan, played really good. We'll cover them in our Calder video, which will be probably later this week, for being honest. You look at your point-o-meter, according to the Hockey News' fantasy guy for the Buffalo Sabres. You have Tage Thompson leading the way with 70 points. They're banking on another good year from Thompson. Then you have Dylan Cousins at 66. Then you have a three-way tie for third place with Jeff Skinner, Rasmus Dahlin, and Alex Tuch at 55. So you have a three-way tie there. Not bad. You look at their previous point projections, they were averaging like most 50 points. So definitely a step up from last year, 100%. Your sleeper or your bust, going back yet again to Tage Thompson, and I definitely think he should be the sleeper or the bust, because he needs to prove that last season wasn't just I'm just breaking out season. Maybe it's just a one-off. No. And especially with him signing that contract previously earlier this past week, he definitely is going to want to get better. A move to center worked wonders for Tage Thompson, and even a regression from career high 50.0 shooting percentage. He's slated to skate on a number one line with slew of similarity young talented wingers. Believe in him, and I definitely do believe in Thompson, but we'll see what he can do in his year where he needs to kind of prove that last year wasn't a fluke, but we'll see. Your cup odds for Buffalo are 50-1, or 55-1, sorry. Many people would argue they're even more than that, but they're 55-1. according to the Hockey News. Granato and Adams give the Sabres their strongest coach-GM duo since Ruff and Darcy Rieger in the late 1990s and early 2000s. The duo has helped restore a pride in the franchise that had become a laughingstock. Definitely, I said this earlier, definitely a much better management than last year. Like this is unexperienced guys. Adams was unexperienced. Granato might have some experience, but I don't think he has a ton anyways. I'm probably wrong. I know for sure Adams doesn't, but like this is a management that doesn't have much experience, and they really have put together a really good core here. And I definitely think, and I definitely hope that this team proves people wrong and maybe they make the playoffs. I would absolutely love to see it. That would be one of the storybooks. One of the stories this coming season, definitely, and I think it would be very enjoyable to watch this team go all the way, 100%. Your question now: do they make the playoffs? No. 2021, I said no, I was right. 2022, I said no, I was right. I'm gonna bank on no again. I'm gonna be honest. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. This is a team that is definitely on the rise, definitely going to get better, but they're not playoff better just yet. And I think definitely positivity is coming. I think they could finish besides 5th, if we're being honest, and just miss out on that wild card spot. I think if teams do worse above them, they could definitely do better, 100%. This is the team with a lot of young players, and they'll definitely grow. And if they make the right moves come deadline time, or come next season or deadline time, maybe depending if they're close enough, this team could really, really impress some people. But anyways, that could just be me being really high on Buffalo. But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching. For us personally, I really do appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe down below if you are new. I'm pretty sure we have 10 teams left in the season previews, so we're slowly but surely moving along in them. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.